Good morning, California. Good afternoon, New York. Good late afternoon, London. Good evening, Israel, Australia. We don't know if Australia's in the house, but welcome everyone. So we're about to start in a moment. My name's Marcus. Shalom. Welcome to the Jewish Yoga Network International Seminar. We'd love to see your faces. We'd love to see your cameras. If you're open to switching the cameras on, it'd be great to see you. So let's just begin. If you could put in the chat box, I'd love to hear where you're from or where you're tuning in from today. So if you could just type in the name of your city and the country you're in. Let's see who's in the house. Hello, Leah and Gedalia. Hello, Rahel. We've got Toronto. Helene from Stockholm, Edgware. We've got San Diego. Wow, this is happening fast. Boston, Bobby Ray in Hampstead. Omaha. Cleveland, St. Paul. Someone just put their salad dressing recipe in. It looks like a nice salad dressing recipe. Okay, we got New Park, Pennsylvania, San Francisco, more Stockholm, Hawaii, Ontario, Kingston, Hertfordshire. Hello, Hertfordshire. Okay, this is pretty phenomenal. So thank you all for coming. I'd love to hear how you heard about it. So now is the time. So I'd like to tell you a bit about what we've got going on today. This is, as I mentioned, the first ever International Jewish Yoga Conference. It's never happened before in the history of the planet, so that's very exciting. I'm going to start with the official blessing, the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. The intention of today is to give you access, to give you a sampling, a tasting of many different teachers who are teaching various forms of Jewishly inspired yoga and meditation. So this isn't really like the opportunity for the deep dive. There will be one longer session in the middle of it, but it's more a case of let's have a taster of lots of different ones. And hopefully you'll be feeling at some point, oh, I wish they could speak for longer. That's good. Always leave the audience wanting more. And if you feel, well, I don't want to hear them any longer, that's also fine, because we'll be on to the next person very soon. This is going to be recorded, and we'll be sharing the recording at the end of it. We've got presenters from 14 different places, 14 different presenters. There's Audi Gozlan from Canada, Deborah Glassman in the States, Diane Bloomfield, who is in Jerusalem, Estelle Eugene, who's in London, Unger, who's in Los Angeles, Jenna Sadaka, who's in Israel, Lisa Levine, who's in Maryland, Julie Emden, up Berkeley, Northern California, Maxine, Levy in London, Rabbi Yonah Bookstein in Los Angeles, Roland Brandman in London, and Steve Gold, who is in Atlanta, Georgia. And on the tech decks, we've got Moshe Bookstein, who's helping run the event, and he's in LA, and Shana Sorrentino in the Orange County. We've got some extra stuff, some cool stuff, which we've only just found out about. We're actually blessed to give away. We've got over $1,500 worth of yoga classes, some books, some sessions, some private, some groups, some class passes. So we're going to be giving those away. And actually at the end of the session, at the end of the 90 minutes, that's when we got the biggest giveaway at all. So please stay with us. And well, I'll tell you more about the giveaways as we come through, but it's going to be various things like free listing in the Jewish Yoga Teachers Directory, a meditation retreat in London. It's an online retreat with Hamakom, a Shabbat class with Deborah Glassman, class with Unger on Zoom or person in Los Angeles, a class with Audi Gozlan of Kabbalah Yoga, a private session of Cantor Lisa Levine. I know I'm speaking pretty quickly and not very yogically. Let's just take a breath for a second. Okay, everyone give me an inhale and exhale. Good, breathe in and breathe out and breathe in and breathe out. And the other classes we've got, there is a Kesher Institute, a relationship seminar for those who are interested in that, a spot at Camp Neshama, an young adults summer camp in LA, and Diane Bloomfield, a class with Diane. So my name is Marcus Fried. Shalom. I'm your host for today on behalf of the Jewish Yoga Network. I'm going to invite you now just to breathe, and we're going to do a little warm up, a little meditative, a little bit of movement. Feel free to do as much or as little as you want. Thank you all for keeping your cameras on. It's really great to see you. So if you sit down, just make sure that you're not rested against the back of the seat. Just bring your buttocks towards the front of your chair and place your feet below your knees. Engage your abdomen, so tummy slightly tucked in, and draw your shoulders down slightly. And gently close your eyes. Inhale through your nostrils. Exhale through your mouth. Good. Breathe in through your nostrils. Exhale through your mouth. And then breathe in through your nostrils and exhale through your nostrils. A couple more breaths like this. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. If you like, you can place your hand on your heart. I'd like you to just locate a place of peacefulness within your body. It could be anywhere in your body, the most peaceful part within your body. As you inhale, just imagine that space is growing. The peacefulness is growing, and exhale, and a sense of welcoming. So shalom for peace, or shalom for welcoming. And just feel a sense of being wholeness. You are perfect, whole, everything is right as it is right now. Shalom. So shalom, shalom, peace, welcome. Please join me for 3 chants of shalom and try and stay with my voice on this. Inhale. Shalom. 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 And 2 more. Shalom. Shalom. Great. And open your eyes. We're going to have very different styles that we're going to be sharing tonight. Lots of different ideas. There's 4 practical yoga sessions plus this little one to warm up with. And we're going to work on the theme just now briefly of yesterday's Torah reading, the Parsha Baha'alotcha, which was about lighting the menorah in the temple. We're told the menorah was made of 1 piece of gold, and this is very much about oneness. It was the principle of unity the Kabbalists teach us, but they also teach us that the 7 branches of the menorah represent the 7 divine energies, the sphirot within our body. And above all, Rashi teaches us it's about elevating. So let's just focus on elevating our energy. You can do this seated or you can do it standing. If you're standing, we're going to do this quite simply. We're going to take a horse stance. So just imagine you're riding a horse. This is kind of like a martial arts thing. So your toes point outwards and imagine you're sort of sitting down on the horse. Good. We're going to do 3 of these standing sun salutes. So tummy tucked in. Inhale your hands out to the side. Exhale, palms together. Exhale through your nostrils. Bend your knees a bit more. Drop your hands. Bring your hands up above your head. And then exhale, dive down, fold forwards. Good. Inhale, bend your knees and come straight back up again. Straighten your legs, hands back to your heart, to the sternum. Good. Same again, bend your knees. Inhale your hands out to the side. Breath, soul, body is one, echad. Good. Drop your hands. Inhale, bring your hands up above your head. And exhale, dive down. Good. Bend your knees. Once more, we're going to come back up again. And bring your hands down. Okay, once more, just take your knees even lower. So just sit even lower. Good. Inhale out to the side. Exhale. It's beautiful seeing so many of you, so many of us joining together. Drop your hands, bring your hands up. And then exhale, forwards. Good. Bend your knees, bring your hands up. And then palms down through the center. Good. And then just stand in mountain pose for a moment. Feet together, hands together. Ground yourself down. Inhale and exhale. Join me for one more chant of shalom, seated or standing. Inhale. Shalom. Good, hands together. Thumbs to your hairline for chokhmah and bina, wisdom and understanding. Thumbs to your forehead for da'at, knowing. Thumbs to your mouth for malchut, kingship, nobility. Thumbs to your throat for chesed and gevurah, love and discipline. Hands on your heart for tiferet, Jacob, the way of Israel, truth, peace, balance and beauty. Thank you all, beautiful ones. Before I introduce the first speaker, I'd love you just to type in one word. Oh, we've got more people. Harrogate, Yorkshire, Ashland, Oregon, Los Angeles, Bushy, England. Hello, Bushy, that's where I am. Great Neck, New Jersey, New York. So I'd like to just write in one word, describe how you're arriving today. Just one word. It could be inspired, it could be anxious, it could be very happy. So just one word. Just love to hear sort of how you are arriving. We've got open, graced, excited, curious, inspired. Birthday, happy birthday, Jeff Gould. Calm, okay, grateful, great. So let's happy, depressed. Well, hopefully this will uplift you. Frazzled, okay. Anxious, Jews in the house, good. Memorial Day energy, yes, okay. Shaloah from Hawaii. So let's begin with. We're going to sort of move on with our first speaker. Our first speaker is Diane Bloomfield. Now, Diane is the author of Torah Yoga, Experiencing Jewish Wisdoms Through Classic Postures. Diane's been teaching Torah and Torah Yoga for more than 30 years. She's currently working on her new book, Playing with Fire, which is Secret Torah Doorways. And Diane lives in Jerusalem with her husband and daughter. You can find out more at torahyoga.com. It's very meaningful for me to be able to introduce Diane. Diane published really the first book in the field. Her book, Torah Yoga, I remember picking it up in 2004 when I sort of began my journey and started teaching. I was looking for a book that combined Torah and yoga, and there was Diane's book, Torah Yoga. So Diane, welcome. Where are you, Diane?
Thank you, Marcus. This is just so exciting. Thank you.
A pleasure, a pleasure. How's Jerusalem today?
I'm actually in Zichron Yaakov right now for a couple months, so it's all well, it's all good here. Yep.
Good, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, Diane. Your book, Torah Yoga, was personally very influential, as I mentioned. I read it soon after it was out. What first inspired you to write it?
I love the question. What inspired me to write it was I had a lot to say. I had been living in Jerusalem for many years, studying Torah very deeply at Pardes Yeshiva and other places, very, very immersed, and then began to see the connection between the Torah and the body. And so I was filled with a lot of ideas and a lot of teaching. I'd been teaching the work for many years already, and I really wanted to share it because ever since I've begun to glimpse this connection between the great wisdom of the Torah and the incredible experience of the wisdom of the body, I've just been inspired by it and wanted to share it. And I love to write, so it was just obvious for me to write the book.
Which is wonderful, and it was so it's profound. You know, it's really profound and cutting edge. So, speaking from personal experience,
yes,
I found that the blend of Torah and yoga is not always accepted. I mean, when I've been out there, it's rare. I've been kind of, well, I won't say what like a couple of the rejections that have happened along the way, but sometimes, you know, we do reach some resistance. Have you found much resistance to your work sort of within certain Jewish settings, and how have you dealt with it?
I really haven't found that much resistance, maybe because I don't go to places that are going to be that resistant to me. I found some interesting resistance one time from a very, very religious school that were very interested in yoga, but weren't so interested in me integrating it with Torah. So that was one time I found the resistance. But in terms of the resistance, I feel like the integrity that I bring to the work, the years of study of Torah, the years of practice of yoga, is my guide to feeling confident in what I do and understanding that resistance is okay if there is resistance. Not everyone understands really what this work is on the deepest level. Right. And so as long as I keep learning and studying, that's my key to feeling a lot of integrity in this work and moving forward forward with it. One interesting story I had was when I spoke with Fike, who's one of Iyengar's top teachers. For 50 years, he studied with Iyengar. And I said, Fike, I'll worry about the Jewish people, whether this is kosher Jewishly, but tell me what you think from a yoga perspective. What do you think about integrating Jewish wisdom into yoga practice? And he looked at me and he said, you are doing the realist yoga. He said, yoga is about getting to your essential self. And if you are a Jewish person and yoga is connecting you to your Jewish wisdom, that is yoga. That's the most ultimate yoga. So from a yoga perspective, I'm not so worried about it. And from a Jewish perspective, we never agree on everything. So I'm not too concerned about the resistance because it's so clear to me that it's a deep and it's a true, and I think it started with Abraham, because they say that Abraham was the one who began to understand Torah in the body. So I don't think it's a new field. I think we're just bringing it down in our generation.
Thank you. Well, Diane, thank you for all that you do. It's wonderful to see you here. And we look forward to seeing your new book. So
thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, next up, we've got Deb Glassman. So we're going into a physical yoga practice now. I'd just be interested for you to write in the chat box a yes, no, if you've done a yoga practice already today. And you can put in which we've got one, we've got a no, we've got a yes. And if you want to put in where you've practiced, if it was at home or a studio, be interested to see. Okay, we had a few no's. That's good. Oh, beach. Oh, nice for you. Good for you. Okay, someone's been to a few hours of workshop. It's not a competition. Yoga's not a competition unless you're winning. That's a joke. All right, so now on to Deb. So Deborah Glassman. Deborah Glassman leads a spiritual yoga practice called Shabbat, which is steeped in Jewish tradition and philosophy. She encourages an embodied practice, an embodied experience of the teachings of Torah and Judaic wisdom. Off the mat, Deb is a practicing physician, parent, partner, and performer. And Deb's now going to lead you through a short practice to bring you back to the idea of the revelation at Sinai, where each of us was present for the gift of Torah. And this sequence will bring you into alignment with your higher self as you tap into your divinity. You now have 5 minutes with Deborah. Please, over to you, Deborah.
So thank you so much, Marcus, for the invitation to be here. I am also probably going to speak way too quickly for what the practice really deserves, but I invite you now to take a stand, right? We all need to take a stand for something and let us meet at the mountain. Of course, this is where the Jewish yoga connection all began, right? With Torah. So please come and be as your mountain. Take a moment to feel into your feet. Let's ground ourselves in the teaching of Torah. Shuffle back and forth. Notice where the weight of your feet is, and can you find your center? Maybe lift your toes and lift the corners of your mouth, and then gently place the toes back on the earth. Take a moment to use all of your senses, just like we did at Sinai, to find yourself starting to ground down by looking at your feet, and notice if your heels are turning in or out. All of us have a tendency, because of asymmetries and weakness in our hips, to let our feet wander. Can we align our feet with one another? Little yoga hack: if you energetically, other term, isometrically sweep your outer heels out, that will help you keep your feet in alignment. And bring your feet hips width or outer hips width apart. And then as you press your feet into the earth to leave your mark on this earth, hug your shins in towards one another. Start to notice if you feel an energy moving from that earth. Maybe a trembling, just like the mountain before revelation. And then engage the quadriceps, those muscles from the knee to the hips, drawing them up towards your hips so as to not hyperextend behind the knee, and hug your outer hips towards one another. I'm trembling. And then take a moment here to start to feel your experience. What is revealed to you just in this half Tadasana? We haven't even worked up yet. But notice here what is revealed to you. What is your tendency? We think of Tadasana, we think of mountain pose as being a beginner pose, but while I agree it is a fundamental pose, there is so much that we can learn about ourselves. It's anything but basic, simple, but not easy. While I'm talking, have you noticed that you've let those lower limbs go? Re-engage. As we engage through alignment, we can align ourselves with our higher calling. I invite you now to hug into your lower abdomen. If you're a jeans person, like you just pulled them out of the dryer and zipped them up, maybe a little snug. You're not a jeans person, maybe just after a big Shabbat dinner, you gotta just hold it in a little bit. And then draw your awareness to your core, your center of power. We talked yesterday about the menorah and lighting the menorah. That fire comes from our core, our seat of courage. Use those front ribs pulled in to hold your heart, creating strength. And then let the heart shine. Our heart, our holy of holies, the center where we have received Torah, and place it as something that is always there and accessible. And then bring your awareness to the breath three-dimensionally, like the Israelite camp, all around the Mishkan after we have received the words of divinity. And then check in once again. Are you grounded? Are you strong? Are you flexible? And then let your throat open, your head rest back to align your higher centers. Bring your hands down in front of you and just notice what is revealed to you as you stand here at the mountain, as the mountain. Through aligned engagement, we allow our highest center to meet our most basic needs, meeting in the center, our heart center, our own holy of holies. Take a moment of breath to be your own Aaron, your own high priest, feeling the thunder, hearing the energy of the lightning moving through you. I invite you to inhale your arms up and then gently bring them through the center, through your spiritual center, where you allow God to inform your intuition, to speak your truth. From the seat of your soul, of your connection to divinity, with courage and strength and flexibility, knowing that the teachings of Torah always ground us. And let your hands drop by your side. Take one deep inhale in. Exhaling the sound of shalom. Sound of the shofar calling us to reveal God's self to your own unique self, your own experience today in community throughout the world. Unbelievable.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you very much, and shalom. That was lovely. Okay, thank you, Deborah. Now, first giveaway, first prize of the day. This is something I wanted to share with you. So I'm going to just do this as a screen share. A few years ago, screen share, there we go. Okay, so we're going to be giving away a book, and there's a question which is coming into it. The book is the Kosher Sutras, which is so far I think the only Torah commentary through yoga and through meditation. So you've got every single week, every parsha, every week there's a different Torah practice or a different yoga practice rather. And we're going to ask a question in a moment. This is a little peek inside the book over there. So you've got begins with Bereshit, and then every single week you've got the parsha, you've got this little idea, and then there's a posture with it, and so forth. So anyway, so that's the Kosher Sutras, available on Amazon. And here is the question: Question is, and put it in the chat box, and we'll pick someone randomly from the chat box. Question is this: what is the name of this week's Torah reading, and what's it about? So, Parsha of the week that we're starting for this coming Shabbat. What is the name of the Torah reading, and what's it about? On your marks, get set, go. Where's the chat box? Okay. All right. So we got names. We got okay. All right, Dan Alexander, he got Shalach Lachat the Spies. Okay, Dan Alexander, you won your copy of the Kosher Sutras. We're just picking someone at random. One for you. So Mazel Tov, Dan. And on we go, on to the next person. So now it is my pleasure to introduce Estelle Eugene. Estelle founded Yoga Mosaic, which eventually became the Jewish Yoga Network when she let me get involved, which is very kind, quite a while ago. And Estelle has been practicing yoga since 1982. She's always loved the connections and complementary similarities found in Judaism and yogic teachings, and has been involved right from the very beginning. So Estelle, over to you.
Oh, I'm so delighted to be part of this incredible event that Marcus has put together. The history. From the late 70s, I was fortunate enough to be the administrator of the Iyengar Educational Foundation in London, founded by the remarkable Rabbi Mickey Rosen. Part of Iyengar's focus was bringing Judaism close to many who had missed out on that experience, and Iyengar was so innovative in its approach to this area. Alongside my commitment to Iyengar's ethos, I started yoga as exercise with the esteemed Sri Indarnath. Quickly became enthused and began the teaching diploma more out of a deepening interest in the course content than actually teaching. But part of the diploma requirement was to start teaching students. Well, I worked in a study center with all the facilities needed. Can I asked the rabbi, teach a women's yoga class here? And my dear, totally orthodox boss looked somewhat aghast, but said yes. And I'm talking the 80s here and the UK. I started to teach and loved it. Plus, I was studying as I taught, and the Vedantic philosophies began to resonate with me. I went to Limud, where Diane Bloomfield introduced her Torah yoga, and I was inspired by Bill Helbron, who wrote on yoga and the Jewish tradition. And I myself taught at Limud conferences, indeed, up until 2019. Knowing several Jewish yoga teachers, I thought I would initiate seminars where both Jewish and yogic philosophies and practice would combine. I ran about 20 of these annually from the early 90s, ultimately teaming up with the Jewish Cultural Center, now JW3. The group was called Yoga Mosaic, aimed at teachers, and I ran a website of that name, mainly for the convenience of publicizing events and contributions and creating a teacher's directory. But someone in the US found the site and asked me if she could run a US division. Dear Gracia Golden. I readily agreed, and I guess some of you here today will have been signed up way back because of Gracia's input. I think Steve and Ida. I wasn't focused on expanding Yoga Mosaic. I was happy just to have my relatively small membership chugging along. But along came Marcus with a much more panoramic vision than mine. Rachel wanted to focus more on her speech and language career. Marcus had moved to the US from the UK. It was a matter of being in the right place at the right time. He suggested taking over the site, renaming it the Jewish Yoga Network, and the rest is history. I personally had a slight health issue and was so grateful that Marcus, held in such esteem in the US by dint of damn hard work, talent, and great camaraderie, was there to make things happen. That he took this seed and brought it into flower, as evidenced by the attendance here today, and so pleased the network exists for the exchange of so many organizations and individuals, wonderful contributions, and who offer faith, love, healing, and peace to the wider world.
Thank you so much, Estelle. I love you. Thank you for everything you're doing. And I was just blown away with the response to this seminar. I was, gosh, I forgot. Well, so this has been sponsored by the Schusterman Foundation, the Charles and Lynn Schusterman family philanthropies. They very kindly sponsored this event. I was concerned at the beginning if we'd get 20, 30 people, would we get 40 pushing it? I didn't know if we get 40. I was a bit worried. Anyway, we've got 466 people registered today. 466. It's just amazing. And Estelle, I really think this shows testimony to the idea that this has grown and grown and grown. Part of me thought, well, why didn't we do this 15 years ago? And as Diane said, well, if we did it 15 years ago, wouldn't have happened like this. So everything in its right time. Now I'm going to share with you a video, and this is a video from my teacher, Ida Unger. Ida is in Los Angeles, California. There's a Jewish idea of Hakarat Hatov, which is calling out, thanking someone publicly for miraculous things or for positive things they've done. The 20-second version of this is 3 years ago. I was walking to a Shabbat dinner. I was hit by a car, thrown onto the hood, onto the ground, on the bonnet, had a brain hemorrhage. I had near-death experience, 2 hours to live, brain surgery about 90 minutes later, 4 days later, another brain hemorrhage and another brain surgery. It was a challenging time. This was in Los Angeles at the end of 2017. And Ida showed up about a month later. I've been to her classes in the past, but she showed up and took me through an Iyengar restorative yoga for healing and for those particular symptoms. And really through this yoga, Ida helped me get stronger than ever and helped me bounce back to full health. Thank God. So thank you, Ida. And we're going to now see a video. This is when Ida met with her teacher, BKS Iyengar, the great Mr. Iyengar. And she was telling him about what she was doing with her Hebraic ideas, with Aleph Bet sacred shapes, which we're going to show more about. So Moshe, if you could play the video, please.
The year was 1997, and I was going to Pune, India for a month of study at the Iyengar Institute. And before I left for India, I wrote a letter requesting a private meeting with BKS Iyengar because I wanted to ask him about something that I was going through, which was I was having these revelations of Hebrew letters while in the poses, and they indeed have a lot of connections, and I wanted to know what he thought of that. And I had started teaching Jews yoga based on some of these connections. So when I got to India, I really regretted having sent this letter because here I was, this peon practitioner near this giant, and he was always present. We practiced in the same room 3 hours each morning, but I never was going to approach him, and most people didn't approach him, although he talked to his regular assistants all the time. So it was amazing to see him practice, but I wasn't going to approach him personally. But on the second from last day before my leaving India, his assistant came to me and said, tomorrow is your meeting with Guruji, your teacher. So, so I was very nervous, but I prepared and I went into this meeting, and he had my letter in his hand and he started yelling, "Why do you ask me things I don't know about?" And I said, well, you know about yoga, and I could tell you what these connections are. And he just interrupted me and again screamed, "Why are you asking me these things?" And I was like, well, it's okay. Thank you very much. I've studied yoga for 12 years now, and it's really changed my life. And I just tried to be humble and leave that room as quickly as I could. And that's what I did, and shaking. And later on that day, I was to go to the Institute for my very last class. And when I arrived, because Iyengar was on the floor doing his practice. He was in Supta Virasana, so he was quite plastered to the floor. And with his eyes, he beamed me over to him. And he was known for his eyes and his eyebrows, very bushy eyebrows. And I came over to him still holding all my stuff, and I was stooping down. And he said, "Never call it Jewish yoga, because every Jew and every yogi will say you made it up. But you didn't make it up. You're synthesizing, and you're bringing the old into the new, and I agree with it." And I was so happy.
Terrific. I love that story. I love that story. Ida teaches in Santa Monica, and there's going to be a giveaway. So for those who missed the beginning, we've got some amazing gifts, some contests. So at the end of the session, at the end of the webinar, there are classes, one-on-one classes from many different teachers. So making sure you stay with us. I'd be interested to know, actually, because we just mentioned Mr. Iyengar, what kind of yoga you practice. Maybe you could just write in the chat box. Are you Ashtangis, Iyengars, like what Iyengis? What kind of yoga are you practicing? So you could just put that in the chat box. And let me tell you now about the giveaway. Kripalu, Iyengar, Hatha, Integral. Great, there's a lot of action. There's a lot of action. No one's putting Torah yoga. All right, good. The next giveaway is one of Ida's posters. So Ida has something called Sacred Shapes, and Sacred Shapes is a poster which is based upon alphabet, and we're actually giving away 3 of these today. So this offers a look at the shapes of the alphabet and the yoga poses that mirror them. In both Judaism and yoga, these shapes are said to be shapes with access connecting heaven and earth. Okay, so these are the practice. Now, here is the question. This is the question. The question is, Gematria is the Kabbalistic practice of numerology. So the idea of numerology, where the letter Aleph represents 1, Bet represents 2, and Gimel is 3. So Aleph, Bet, Gimel, 1, 2, and 3. To win one of Ida's posters, in fact, we're going to do 2 competitions here. So, okay, for the first 2 posters, what is the gematria of the letter Mem? What is the gematria of the letter Mem? Oh, they're already in. Okay, I was wondering how many people get it. All right, Genia was first in, and Zahava Berkovitz. So Genia Taub and Zahava Berkovitz. All right, great. And now I'm going to show you the poster one more time. I'm just going to show you the poster one more time. And for the third one. Now, competitive yoga isn't really done these days, although Mr. Iyengar was demonstrating in the Maharishi's palace when he was younger. I'm going to invite you to take a pose from one of Ida's charts. Any posture, any one of the asanas, first person there to do one of the asanas wins. Oops, Bonnie Green in Trikonasana. Okay, Bonnie Green, you get your poster. Very good. Yoga competitions, we need more of them. Sacrilege. Now, on to the next. Now I'm very delighted, pleased to introduce Cantor Lisa Levine. So Lisa is a well-known cantor, composer, poet, author, rabbinic pastor, chaplain, and recording artist. Lisa's coming to us from Maryland. She's the author of Yoga Shalom, which is a popular Jewish yoga and prayer embodiment, and sound CD, DVD, Sound of Your Soul. So Lisa's now going to take us for an embodied breath and soul pranayama practice, breathing practice, incorporating both healing mudras and the original soundtrack from Sound of Your Soul, which is her recent Yoga Judaica CD release. Moshe, if you could play the background track, and then over to you, Lisa.
Shalom, everyone. So let's ground in. And as soon as Moshe starts there we go. Let's begin by dropping our awareness into the breath. Grounding through the sits bones, attaching an energy string from the Keter, the crown of the head, connecting with Ein Sof, the source. Allow this energy to flow through you as we embody the healing waters of Miriam's well. I can certainly use them today. The Shema, the breath. Neshama, the soul. We deepen our breath as we open a window into the deepest part of self-knowing. Create a kavanah, a sankalpa, or a blessing for yourself today. What is it that you need most? What would you like to let go of? What's brought you here to your Mishkan Ma'at, your holy place, your holy mat place? Take a moment of gratitude with hands at heart center, Anjali Mudra, balancing prayer pose. Bring that kavanah, that prayer for yourself, into your heart and deepen the breath. Inhaling into the lower belly, lower lungs and upper lungs. And release anything that you don't need. Upper lungs, lower lungs, and belly. Now inhale through the nostrils. And as you inhale, slowly open the arms into Goddess, Devi Asana. Shekhinah, open the heart center. And as you slowly release the breath, bring the palms back to heart center. Exhaling anything you don't need, press the palms together. Squeeze the breath from the body. As you inhale, open the arms wide. Breathe in through the nostrils. Fill your cup with Miriam's healing waters. And as you exhale now, extend the arms upward. Release anything you don't need. Let it flow into the flow of the river. Inhale deeply. Open the heart center. Open the arms. Shekhinah. Open the heart. And as you exhale, bring the palms slowly together. Bring the balance of chesed, gevura, loving kindness, and strength. Press the palms together. Now inhale the arms forward. Pralamba Mudra. Inhale. And accept the breath from everyone in this room through the healing mudra of the hands. And as you exhale, bring that energy right into the heart center, right hand over the heart, chesed, left hand, gevura. One more time, inhale. Hands forward, open, blessing everyone in the room. Feeling those healing waters coming back into your arms. And as you exhale, bring that healing right back into heart center. Right hand over heart. Left hand over heart. Release the hands, one last mudra, chin mudra, balancing mudra. Hands onto the thighs. Close the eyes, notice the effects of your practice as you inhale and release.
Beautiful. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much, Lisa. Shalom. That was absolutely wonderful. That's really lovely. So you can check out, I put Lisa's contact in the chat box. We're going to be sending out everyone's contact information afterwards. So cantorlisalevine.com. If you're in Maryland, you can go and see her in person. Lisa also does lots of classes online. Okay, it's wonderful to see so many people over here. Hey, Bobby. So now I'm going to introduce another dear friend of mine, lots of dear friends, Rabbi Yonah Bookstein. Rabbi Yonah is an internationally recognized spiritual leader and organizer with 26 years experience in Jewish community leadership, nonprofits, informal education, and immersive Jewish experiences. He's the co-founder of Pico Shul, Shabbat Tent, and Kesher Institute. Rabbi Yonah is also a very close friend. We've been working together for 11 years, and I've done more live events with Rabbi Yonah and his wife Rachel than anyone else in the world. We've probably worked on about 150, 200, 250 live events, including all the shul stuff and Jewlicious festivals. So Rabbi Yonah, welcome. Are you here?
Great to see you, Marcus. It's great to see so many people on this Sunday morning, and you're really getting a lot of bracha for organizing this.
Thank you. Well, thank you. It's wonderful to see you. Are you in Los Angeles? Where are you today?
We've had June gloom, even though it's still the last end of May here.
June gloom. I don't want to say what the English weather is. So, so Rabbi Yonah, I want to ask you, now we've done lots of things over the years, yoga sessions at Jewlicious Festival on the books and alternative meditation services at Pico Shul, which you founded a few years ago. And you've taken, well, some very bold steps, like you're allowing me to begin Yom Kippur services with whole shul meditations and yoga on Shavuot for the shul. And what do you see as an Orthodox rabbi? What do you see as the role of yoga, meditation, or mindfulness within the shul, within the synagogue context?
Well, Marcus, adding yoga to our outreach programs has been, originally was a way to engage Jewish young adults who are looking for ways to connect. And yoga has a great reputation, and most don't realize that some teachers like you have found ways of connecting yoga practice with Jewish practice. So it created a new way for people to connect. It offered another program that people could benefit from in the context of those larger events.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely, and it's been very interesting seeing the response and seeing the reaction. And as you were speaking, it reminded us of when I used to come over and we do the yoga sessions at home, and your Baddha Karnasana, those hip openers and those lotuses. I mean, it's a Bookstein speciality. This is the most flexible rabbi I've met in town. Now, a lot of colleagues in other shuls may not approve of this. I mean, I've certainly bumped up over the years with a few different challenges. They may even say, no, it's not even kosher. And obviously this is a whole other controversy and a much bigger thing, a much bigger discussion. But how do you respond to the critics or the naysayers?
So I took a moment to actually write out my answer. And, there's widespread evidence first that meditative practices have been widespread, right? So there's tons of evidence throughout Jewish history. One of the reasons that it's not been universally accepted today is that we've lost the vocabulary of meditation, and that's a Rabbi Kaplan understanding. Also, you have to know and remember that cults have used meditation to take Jews away from Judaism. And so there's a lot of reticence and fear that this is like something which is coming in to take Jews away from being Jewish. And unfortunately, I know plenty of Jews who completely abandoned Judaism in favor of certain groups that's entire focus is in other places, right? In meditation, in yoga, and so forth. But and there's our outliers, of course, but we've lost people from our community. Incorporating movement-oriented meditation and physical work is not necessarily unkosher. I've spoken with leading rabbinic scholars in the world about this. However, some parts of yoga can be not kosher. For example, using statues, chanting names of other deities, using instruments on Shabbat, that would not fit, just because yoga says it's kosher doesn't mean that the Torah says this is what we should be doing.
Absolutely.
And we must remember that meditation and yoga are not substitutes for Jewish practice, but they're tools that can enhance our Jewish spiritual practice and help us connect to Hashem and connect to God. And in that way, they can be phenomenally kosher and effective.
I think, and actually, and again, it's like this is, I think, why we found such a sort of a symbiosis. It was also very bold within the context of an Orthodox shul, and for those who aren't familiar, Pico Shul, which is in Los Angeles, we would do, during the Torah reading, I'd go out the back and do a yoga meditation service or alternative, but actually having the strength to be able to say, yes, we're going to allow people to step out rather than they're missing out. I mean, the ideal, from my perspective, is that someone does the practice for a couple of hours before they come to the shul, but when we're in, at least allowing it.
It gives another opportunity for people to connect. As you said, you know, it was the alternative service, so people who needed something alternative at that moment could step into the other room and do that, right?
Right. So yeah. So thank you very much. And so Rabbi Yonah, actually we've got about a minute left. Was there anything else you wanted to share?
I wanted to give everybody a little bit of a Torah thought. You know, every person has unique talents and a unique neshama, a unique soul, and needs to find their individual path and mission to serving God. And we actually pray in the morning for wisdom and intelligence to know how to serve God. And so as part of our practice, I ask Hashem to grant all of us a clear mind to know what we should be doing, and that ask that that path be revealed to us so that we can serve God and connect our souls more closely to the source of all life.
Beautiful. Rabbi Yonah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's wonderful to see you. And
thank you, Mark.
Thank you, everybody, when they let us play.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Rabbi Yonah runs Kosher Institute, KosherSeminar.com. Shana, maybe you could put it in the chat box, please. So KosherSeminar.com is a premier Jewish singles dating seminar, and there's lots of live events happening soon. So Kosher Seminar, for anyone who, you know,
we have a new website, kosher.info.
Okay, great, wonderful. Kosher.info. And for those who are wondering, yes, I'm single and looking to get married, so please send your recommendations, marcusfried@gmail.com. Thank you. On we go. Now, our next speaker, and this is great. So thank you, Rabbi Yonah. So the next speaker, it's actually a practice session, is Audi Gozlan. Now, Audi is the founder of Kabbalah Yoga, a unique style of vinyasa that teaches the practice of flow yoga by moving the body into the intention and shapes of the Hebrew letters. This is going to be a 15-minute practice. This is our longest one that's going to take us to just 5 minutes past the hour. So it's going to be a short flow for the body and soul to embrace. Cultivating positive intention is really part of it. I'm going to hand over to Audi. Audi Gozlan, over to you.
Marcus, thank you for having me. Can you hear me? We're good?
All good, all yours, thank you.
Awesome. So I see some friends that I've practiced with in the past, and new friends. Shalom, shalom to everyone. I'm delighted to be here to share with you another dimension to the practice of yoga called Kubala Yoga, which is a system of movement and meditation based on flowing into the shapes of the Hebrew letters. We're all very unique in the way our bodies energetically move and dance with the soul. And Kabbalah provides us with the tools that we need in order to go deeper into the body. Yoga allows us to evolve, each one of us, according to our own pace, and to reach more levels of awareness of our breath. Kabbalah and yoga practice together allows us to be present as we cultivate intention, kavana, to be here in the now.
Audi, sorry to interrupt. There's a bit of feedback coming from your music. I don't know if it's possible to turn it down.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
It's Tinny. Sorry to interrupt your flow.
No, all good. And so Kabbalah Yoga is a practice that allows us to plant Kavanah seeds into the practice of shaping into the Hebrew letters. And today, I would love to share with you a few Hebrew letters and words to bring out this intention of being a temple, of being a bayit, so we could ignite the flame within, the ner, and cultivate a great esh within us. And of course, it would have been my preference to have more time and to cultivate many words and many letters, and of course to be in person, but hey, we can connect from wherever we are in the world, and this is amazing what Marcus has done. And so please join me on the mat. And let me know if the music bothers or doesn't. I'm going to put a little bit of music. Coming to the fronts of our mats, the feet hip width apart, and let's establish a foundation. I'm going to come facing you while you face the front, establishing a foundation so we can create more consciousness in our steps, lengthening with the spine and bringing our hands into our heart, connecting to the most important and powerful organ of the body. And take a moment to create kavanah, create intention, to be here and now, to be present in the letter Vav. We have a beautiful ritual in Judaism each Friday night when we light the Shabbat candles. We have this vinyasa movement where we light the flames and then bring the flame into the heart to remind us. So please join me as we ignite the flame within. Inhaling, lengthening out. Exhaling, tapping into the flame. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling out. Now from the heart, fingertips. Inhale, lengthening with the arms and spine into the powerful pose, the letter Nun. Connecting to the heart with the hands, and again, igniting the flame, the ner, the Nun, the neshama, spreading its magnificent warmth into the world around us. Inhaling, and then exhaling. Inhaling into the open space, pressing into our feet, stretching the arms into the sky, and then folding over to the left side for the letter Resh. Inhale high, exhale over to the opposite side, the letter Resh for the ner. Inhaling into the sky one more time, to the left, really stretching and pressing to the earth, connecting to the inner flame as we move to the right side. And then back into the center, let's gather the energy into the consciousness of the mind and into the heart. Moving into the letter Lamed. Inhale, reach into the sky for the tallest letter as we reach to heaven, grounding ourselves to the earth. And then exhale, bending your knees, and start to fold as we bring our fingers to the ground for the standing letter Yud. Inhaling, lifting your heart, and exhaling, folding into the knees. Inhale, lift up your heart, and exhale, draw into the seed of life, the wisdom of fire, the Esh. On an inhale, lift up your heart. Let's go ahead and walk our feet into a downward facing dog pose, which is the letter Chaf reversed as we press into the hands and lift the hips, melting the heart to the earth, feeling deeply connected to the energy surrounding us. And for a moment, let's grow into the chaf as we point our toes to the right side and then over to the left, bending the knees and pushing the earth away so we can grow taller and deeper into our awareness. A few times from left to right. Then on an inhale, moving into plank pose, the chaf sofit. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, lifting the heart, rolling the shoulders, upward facing chaf sofit. Exhaling, coming into the child, the yud, the seed of life, being planted into the soil of awareness. Connecting the mind, the heart to the body. And so we're going to move into a mini flow of the word bayit, the home. Let's come into downward facing. And on an inhale, stretching right leg into the sky. Exhaling, bringing foot forward into a lunge. Let's go ahead and bring our left knee to the ground, moving into the crescent, into the letter bet. Lengthening with the heart, opening the mind to receive, squaring the hips, connecting to the earth, to the home temple. And then exhale, fingers to the ground. Let's move into a half split as we fold. Now an inhale, release your right foot, touch the sky with your soul. And exhale, knee to the ground for the letter Tav, the tabletop. The Tav is all about creating tava, passion, inspiration in our life, in our movement. Exhaling, returning to the sea, to the yurt. Breathing into the sea. And on an inhale, coming back into the table. Moving into a downward facing chaf as the left leg now reaches high. Exhaling, foot comes forward into a lunge. Lowering the right knee, lengthening your spine and opening your heart to heaven for the best as we embrace all the energy surrounding us. Breathing into your body. Exhaling, fingers to the ground, lengthening with the left leg. And folding over passively, connecting to what's in the home of the body, the sacred temple. Inhale, release your left foot, touch the sky with your soul. And then exhaling, knee to the ground for the Tav. Creating passion in the heart as we round the spine. Look inside your heart and exhale, reveal, returning to the seed, melting away to the earth. And from the yud seed, let's come back into our passion, rolling forward and back, inhaling, forward. And back, one more time, rounding the spine. And let's go ahead and curl our toes and come into a downward facing chaf pose. As we walk the feet forward. And folding over into a yud. From yod, rising up one vertebrae at a time. Let's touch the sky for the lamed. And from the lamed, reaching into the eye of the mind and into the consciousness of the heart. And from the heart, let's go ahead and bring the right foot to the back, pivoted. As we bend the left knee, moving into a warrior two, which is the symbol of the Aleph. And so coming into your heart and connect deeply. The Aleph heart is all about the Ahava, stretching the Ava out into the open and then into the sky. Exhaling, elbow to thigh, reaching with the right arm. Inhale, dancing into the sky, bringing the Achdut, the oneness, over the mind, and then into the sky. Exhale, out. And swoosh over to the opposite side, into the heart of the olive, and then stretching the wings of the heart as we dance into the sky with the right arm. Exhaling, elbow to thigh, left arm forward. Inhale, touch the sky. One more time, over. And then drawing heaven on earth for the feeling of the olive. So I would love for you to point your toes for a wide-legged angle as we come into the shin. Touch the sky. And then let's exhale. Start to bend your knees as we fold and reach for the ground with our fingers, lengthening the spine. Keeping the knees bent as much as you need to reach to the ground with the top of the head. A few times of pulsating, lifting the heart, and then exhale, folding inside. Inhale, lifting your heart. Left hand underneath you, reaching with your shin to connect heaven to earth. You are the vehicle, you are the heart. And then exhale, release. Inhale, opposite hand into the sky. Exhaling, letting go, slowly rising up, bringing heels in, toes up, bending the knees, and bringing the hands into the heart for a moment of awareness. Being here in the now, connecting to each other in a very deep and graceful way, stretching over with the right arm. Inhaling left. Exhaling, dancing into the fire of love as we swoosh and feel and be the light that warms the world. Opening up the arms, hands into the mind, walking feet together. Coming into your space of comfort, remembering that there is an eshtami, there is a constant fire.
Audi, music off, that would be good. It's interfering.
And so, bringing our hands together into the heart. And just a little message to retain. And the message we can take in is that there is an esh tamid, a constant fire burning in the heart. Esh tamid tukad al mizbech, as long as the fire is burning in the temple of the heart, lo tichbe, it puts out the low, the no, the negative. The fire is powerful. The fire is strong. The fire reveals itself through our mind, through our hearts, and through our body. And so thank you so much. Shalom, shalom. Wishing you only blessings. Thank you so much for your time.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Audi. That was really, really lovely. And you can find out more about Audi's classes. We're going to give you the opportunity to learn some more with the contest at the end. I think we're running about 10 minutes behind. not bad for Jewish timing, with 456 participants and 14 presenters. So we're doing okay. We're doing okay. Why don't we have another little competition? Let's have a competition. Okay, this time the giveaway, it's another book. And this book is the Kabbalah Sutras. Now, the Kabbalah Sutras, A Yogi's Guide to Meditation, is I mean, I wrote it, but still giving it away. The book is basically, it takes you through every day of the Omer, the 49-day spiritual Kabbalistic count. And the way we do it is through a mixture of yoga, through meditation, and there's ways of applying it in many different setups. So what you've got within the Kabbalah Sutras, as I say, the practices for every single day, and we go through this. And then as we go through, we pick any one of these days. There we go. There's day 11 of the Omer. There's ways of applying it on the yoga mat. This is Gevura, Sheba Netzach, or Netzach, Sheba Gevura. So there's many different ways. Okay, so to win a copy of the Kabbalah Sutras, here is the question. Are you ready? Good. Question is as follows. The Kabbalah talks about 10 divine energies, the 10 sfirot, and 7 of these are within the body. So 7 of these sfirot, these divine energies, are within the body. What is the name, Hebrew and English, of the sphera that is connected with the right arm? Bit of a specialist question. Is the spiritual quality that is connected with the right arm. We've got a Hebrew. Can we get the Hebrew and the English for the winner? Okay, we got Pesach. Pesach's in. All right, so Pesach won it. So chesed, or loving kindness, because the right arm is the one that gives. This is chesed, or loving kindness. More about that in the Kabbalah Sutras. I've also got 49 videos on YouTube, one for every day of the Omer, so you can check those out on my channel. Now, on we go. So Pesach wins that. That's actually pretty appropriate that Pesach should win that for the Kabbalah Sutras, for the Omer. Okay, so now we've got a panel. So this is it's going to be about 14-15 minutes long, and we've got four lovely speakers here. So firstly, Julie Emden. Julie is the founding director of Embodied Jewish Learning in the San Francisco Bay Area. She works as a Jewish educator, Iyengar-based yoga instructor, and movement expressive artist, and guides others in exploring Jewish wisdom, text, and practices via the body. embodiedjewishlearning.org. We've got Maxine Levy. Maxine's coming from London, so Julie's over there in Berkeley, Northern California. Maxine Levy in London. Maxine is a co-founder of Jewish Mindfulness Meditation and is a unique voice within Alith Synagogue, a Jewish reform community in London. It offers a space to uplift the spirit, clear the mind, and create fresh purpose for our lives from a Jewish perspective. Roland Brandman. Roland is the chair of Hamakom. Hamakom is the leading British charity for Jewish mindfulness and meditation. He's also a professional chazan, a lawyer, and a member of the Athenian Club in London. He's currently writing a book on Jewish foundations for a meditative spirituality. You can find out more at hamakom.community. And later on, you get the opportunity to win a place on their next retreat, which is online. And then finally, Steve Gold. Steve's coming to us from Atlanta, Georgia. Hello, Atlanta, Georgia. Steve has been an inquiring, practicing, and teaching Jewish yogi for 45 years, with an emphasis on meditation and yoga beyond the mat and connections between Torah and Veda and spirituality. So hello and shalom to our speakers. Let's just give me So here's the first question. So the speakers, we've all got 2 minutes to answer. It's going to be like the Oscars, where if someone goes over the time, the music begins and the voice disappears. Maybe other connections to the Oscars too. And the first question I'd like to ask you is, how do you find the balance when it comes to blending Jewish yoga or meditation? So how do you find the balance? Julie.
Hi, everyone. For me, it is really important to acknowledge the distinction between yoga and Judaism, and it's an organic experience of the Torah and Hebrew and prayer that are inside of me, coming through me when I'm practicing this practice. So it's really it was a creative process where it first began. I was practicing yoga every morning and Hebrew prayer came through me. And I believe that it's really important to offer that experience for everyone we work with to discover from within, the inner Torah that comes through. So I really am not working to create a balance. It's actually just an organic way that the embodied practice is offering a channel for me to be expressed as a whole being.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you very much, Julie. Roland, we'll jump to London.
Hi. Well, for me personally, I was originally sort of got into meditation, heavily inspired by Buddhist and Vedanta texts. Now I know where to look within Judaism for spirituality. I'm more focused on learning there and practicing within that framework while keeping my eyes wide open. And really the balance is no issue because, there's a huge richness within Judaism to explore. And I can keep my wide-eyed open, but I can find a thoroughly authentic position within historic Judaism. It's very interesting to look around at what others do because I see surveys about spiritual practitioners in Judaism, and you get all sorts. People who simultaneously can be a Zen master and a rabbi, or a Sufi sheikh and a rabbi. People who've left Judaism and come back. People who have had no interest and got into Judaism, but everyone sort of needs to look into, they all share the common thing that they need to look into Jewish meditation a bit for their own integration. And that's where I started, and I'm just continuing on that path.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Roland. Thank you. Over to Atlanta, Georgia. Steve.
Yes, Marcus, thank you so much. Of course, you changed the question on me yet again. The question I was prepared to answer was, how do you describe the intersection between Judaism and yoga or meditation? So I might have
put the wrong things in the notes.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Answer that question is great. Yeah, that'll do.
All right. Shalom, everyone. Marcus said I could go deep as long as I could do it in 2 minutes or less. So here goes. Going deep, cutting to the chase, getting to core essence has been my inspiration, primarily through the spirituality contained within Torah and Veda. The intersection is that there is one ultimate non-dual reality that is their source. Connecting with the source is beneficial spiritual communion because it is a connection with the essence of being. There is only one source from which emanates many articulations. Torah articulated through a series of sound vibrations that eventually surface through the sacred language of Hebrew. Veda articulated through a series of sound vibrations that eventually surfaced through the sacred language of Sanskrit. Ultimately, the message is one and the same, with many variations and expressions. Ein Sof Or, Sat Chit Ananda. One truth, many paths. As Sir Elton John once sang, "Take me to the pilot of the soul." Here's to the memory of Rabbi Joseph Gelberman and Richard Alpert, Ram Dass, two Jewish yogis par excellence. Om Shalom.
Thank you. Om Shalom. And that's lovely. And Sir Elton John owned the football club just down the road from here, Watford Football Club, and was born 3 miles from here in Penna. Maxine, back to London. Over to you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good morning. Yes, the question has changed. I'll do a bit of both. I would say, I'd like to say, reflecting on what everyone said, I feel a part of all of that, completely in agreement. I found my path back to Judaism through yoga. I would like to say that through the, I've been practicing yoga for 20, 30 years. I came to it from, similar to you, Marcus, from an illness at one point, and the healing process, what I would say about the yoga practice is that it offers a conscious, careful, scripted, you could say, non-dogmatic approach to training oneself to become more connected with one's inner reality in very specific training. And through that practice, it has enabled me to take a fresh look at who I am, and therefore to return back to Judaism of my childhood that did not have that spiritual content. I think that Judaism, for many people, perhaps I'm typical, had quite a grounding in Heder Hebrew classes and practice, but I never felt that connection. It could have been that I was younger, probably a lot to do with it, but being able to return with the equipped, with the training, just as it's a lineage to be able to come with the training from my teachers, teachers in India, to be able to come and to have that freedom of choice, to be able to integrate and find that path, has what actually has brought me back. I would never think I would even be in this conference here. I would never think I had anything to say. I can't believe it. It's like I feel like an outsider. And at this, and what I would say about what's been said is that I feel such an insider, that all is one, and that as long as I feel that we're authentic to what our sources are, we can make what at the top end, it's all the same, all is one. So understanding where we come with what practices and why we use them is authentic, is where I feel it lies. And it's I'm here because I am my interest in Judaism, my passion for Judaism has been awakened through the touch that I received, the softening in my heart and my understanding from that spiritual connection. That's where I'm seeking. Well, that's what I'm seeking. And it's a privilege to be able to explore that and to honor those paths and to bring it to one place.
Thank you, Maxine. Thank you. Is there a teaching each of you would like to share? Sort of something to take us along the way, or any other question you'd like to answer? Why don't we, let's the same order again. Okay, Julie.
Hi. So one important thing I want to say about this question is I really don't believe there's any one pose associated with any line in Torah or quality. And I think that you can tell that from the other thing I said of it's really about our inner wisdom and our inner Torah coming through any posture or any movement. And the creative process of finding some meaning in Torah has, I outline it in a process I called Embodied Pardes. And it's on Safaria. You can find me there and on my website. And I really love looking at a line of Torah or a text and finding all the different, not just body parts, but references to potential body elements or even movements. For instance, Yikavu in the creation story of the gathering of the waters can be referenced as gathering of the front ribs when we're doing certain postures, or Braza de Echad, the secret of oneness. We've talked a lot about oneness all morning and all evening for some of us, of this idea of turning the whole pelvis and torso over the legs for safety in a forward bend. These are just some little examples, but what I want to say is I really believe in the power of creativity and community practicing together, and in an embodied Jewish wisdom network that some of us are a part of, that everyone's invited. There's a beautiful way that we're learning together and finding the connections. So it's ever a new chidush.
Thank you very much. Roland.
Yes, I'd like to share a little sort of medieval Jewish practice, just because it's a bit different.
You like medieval? We've been waiting for some medieval action.
I've yeah. If I invite everyone to sit up straight, relaxed, close your eyes, 3 deep breaths. I'm going to invite you to chant a single word with me, very, very slowly, each on a single out breath, and the word emunah. Emunah means loyal devotion, devotional loyalty, bhakti. And recite this with me with a real sense of commitment, absolute concentration, and feel in the body. Needs to be done for about 20 minutes. So try it again and see what you think. Thank you.
Maxine, can you hear me? Over to you.
I would like to share I would like to share about the Shema. It's the most fundamental prayer that we know, and it really brings together the connection really between prayer and meditation, or one in the same, however we like to see it. The concept of that prayer coming from the Torah, and as someone said earlier, the Torah coming from within is that central unity of the universe. The nature of the question I was following was this integration of yoga, meditation, Judaism, especially coming from the yoga perspective. The prayer calls us to be present and recalls that unity. And it's also the purpose of yoga and meditation to be in the moment. So in my teaching, I like to do a guided meditation practice to the recitation of the prayer, so that we can really open up to the words if we're in a state of preparedness. Relaxed, at ease, cleansed of some of the stress we're carrying. So it's really effective in creating an embodied experience around that, to link to the breath. It's a way to go within. The breath is neshama, spirit, and to feel that connection. I'm saying very basic things, but I think it's really powerful to go back to the basics, to the fundamentals, and bring to it beginner's mind. To be able to separate from that the intellect for a moment, and to go deep within and connect beyond mind into a feeling and into that resonance. Thanks, Roland. That was super powerful. One thing that strikes me, I think, coming back to the Shema after so many years since Hebrew school, is those words, Shema, listen. And it has a different resonance. It has such a powerful resonance. You're bringing yourself into a place of presence, commanded to listen to the breath and to listen inwards. And the second word, Yisrael, really at the time that I sort of returned to this practice 8 years ago, having, as I said, had a big gap, is that understanding of what it means to struggle. He who wrestles with God, Yisrael, it's the name given to Jacob after he struggled with the angels. And that struggle that we have when we enter into any space, to be able to let go of what's in our way and to be able to create a place for calm presence. So the repetition, the simplicity of repeating this prayer, repeating this meditation, resonating with those words, allowing ourselves through a meditation practice, through the recitation, to open up to a place of calm presence.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Maxine.
There's it.
Steve, over to you.
Om Shalom. That was a wonderful meditation. Connections. I've been fascinated with connections for many years. Here's a few examples. This is from Genesis chapter 2, verses 10 to 12. There is one river that, quote, issues forth from Eden to water the garden. And from there, it is divided and becomes 4 headwaters, end quote. The Pishon, the first of these 4 headwaters, quote, encircles the whole land of Havilah, where the gold is. The gold of that land is good. The Betelach is there, and the Shohan Stone, end quote. The Pishon is the Ganges, and the land of Havilah is India. Betelach is believed to be pearls or crystals. The ancient texts of India, such as the Crest Jewel of Discrimination and the Diamond Sutra, liken the purified mind and the wisdom that flows through it to an inner pearl, jewel, or crystal. The Shohan Stone is the ancient lingam stone of India, embodying and reflecting the highest spiritual state and truth of the universal mantra, Soham, I am that. One Eastern word designating this highest spiritual state and truth is Tara, very close to Torah. As recited in Exodus, Shohan stones were prominently implemented in the design of the breastplate of the high priest, incorporated on the breastplate itself and on both shoulder straps that held the breastplate in place. Consider the connections. Om Shalom.
Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you, Roland. Thank you, Julie. And thank you, Maxine. Now on to our last practice of the day, the night, the morning, the afternoon, wherever you are right now. Then we're going to have a little opportunity for question and answer. I just want to mention, actually, I keep seeing Emily Hertzfeld, who's on it. Emily, you can give a wave while you're there. So I want to, Emily's actually got this interesting podcast, all places you can get podcasts, The Jewish Yogi with Emily Hertzfeld. So well worth checking out Emily's podcast. Lots of interesting interviews with various speakers here. So check it out. So now we're going to tune into Israel, back to Israel as much as the internet connection will allow. I'd like to introduce Jenna Sadaka. So I recently saw Jenna on the Facebook group, the Jewish Yoga Network Facebook group, which many of you are on. And by the way, just to remind you, we're going to have after this, the big contest, there's a lot more. We've got a lot of stuff to give away, So it'll be soon after this. And so Jenna blends Jewish and ancient wisdom with mindfulness and movement practices into the feminine, rejuvenating yoga sequences. And she's going to give us something about the Hebrew month of Sivan, heaven and earth, bringing everything together. I don't want to say too much more, but so Jenna, we're going to hand over to you. So we have 5 minutes with Jenna. Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. So for those of you who don't know, Sivan is the month of receiving divine wisdom, and all the clarity of mind, all the intellectual novelties and insights we'll receive for the whole year is brought down on Sivan. So let's start in our Mount Sinai pose, and we'll stand tall but humble like Mount Sinai and grow the crown of the head towards the heavens. And then sink the feet into the earth spot beneath you. The Torah was not meant to stay in the heavens, but was meant to be brought down all the way to this earthly realm. So imagine your body a channel for this divine wisdom. And we're going to inhale all together, all the way up, reaching for divine wisdom and inspiration above us. And we'll exhale to the third eye, the da'as, our inner knowingness. And on Sivan, we experience mohin de godless, an expansive mind. So imagine a point of light widening in this da'as space, widening, illuminating, opening to this new divine wisdom. And the Torah was not meant to stay in the heavens, and wisdom is not meant to stay in the cerebral mind, but is meant to be brought into the heart. So we'll exhale into the heart center, imagining the heart as a wide woven basket, just ready to receive the trickling wisdom from the mind. So press the thumbs into the sternum, your heart open and wide, ready to receive. And we'll flow a few times like that at your own pace, inhaling to the sky, exhaling to the third eye. Inhale, drink it in. Exhale, sweep it down a few times. And I can see everyone's boxes from around the world, but really we are united here together, breathing as one in unity. And we're going to add on, because also the Torah was not meant to stay just in our bodies, but was meant to energize this physical world. So we'll fold forward, swooping down to the earth beneath us, sweep it up, as if we're purifying the ground with a new divine consciousness. Keep breathing. Beautiful. And then we're going to bring the hands down to the mat, step back into plank. Feel that navel, that center core, and then lower the knees and soften all the way to the mat. So now we're in full body prostration, the whole front body softening onto the earth beneath you. Beautiful. And we're releasing anything from the front body so that we can receive the utmost outpouring of divine love. So starting with the forehead, just massage the third eye onto the mat, releasing any stuckness of cobwebs, of negative thoughts, of the stories we tell ourselves. Massage it out onto the mat. And then moving to the heart, any stuckness or heaviness you may be experiencing in the heart, soften, giving it over to the ground beneath you. And then moving awareness to the belly, all the butterflies and anxieties that we hold here, give it over, release, empty. And the legs, the top of the legs giving over. And then bringing awareness to the hands, all of the gripping and the controlling we do, the over-texting and scrolling, soften the fingertips, all the gunk from the hands, soften. And now that we're softening the whole front body, emptying, turn around onto your backs into Shavasana, because I am the last practice here. Just a brief Shavasana. The root of Shavasana is Shabbat, a true receiving. So imagining that every cell is ignited and opening to receive all of this divine wisdom that is abundant in this month of Sivan, and that is abundant right now in this moment. And when you're ready, you can push yourself up. I want to say thank you to everyone, and may this seminar bring true unity to Am Yisrael, peace to the entire world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jenna, and we wish you ongoing peace and prosperity in Israel. So thank you. Lovely to see you. Now, this has been pretty phenomenal. We've still got a lot of people on, which is terrific. Just a couple of things I wanted to mention. So we're relaunching the Jewish Yoga Network website, and just one second. Off, please. Just one second. Okay, so yeah, Moshe, if you could just cut the music, thank you. So we've got the new Jewish Yoga new Jewish Yoga Network website, which is being launched very soon. There is the teachers directory. If you're interested in getting listed, we're going to be sending out the details. That costs, I think, $10 now to get listed, and it's really the only global Jewish Yoga Network teachers directory, so we get lots of hits. That's worth coming up to. Anyway, you want to hear about the giveaway? We're going to do a giveaway, then we're going to have a Q&A, then we're going to wrap up. So we're about, I don't know, 10-15 minutes behind. So now is the big giveaway. Could you just put in the chat box, are you excited? Because I can't hear you, because we can't, yes, we got a yes. All right, we got some yeses. On a 1 to 10, if 10 is high and 1 is low, how excited are you? Woo, there we go. All right, good. We got an emoji, nice. We got a 12. All right, good. 19. Okay, so here is what we've got in store. This is not going to be a question one. We're going to have another, we'll have another one at the end of those questions, but there's currently a lot of giveaways. The giveaways, here's what we're giving away. Number 1, a place on a meditation retreat with Hamakom. That's the London-based organization, meditation retreat, but it's going to be online. Number 2, we've got 5 classes with Deborah Glassman, Deb with Shabhakti Yoga, who was on earlier, 5 with Deborah, class with Ida Unger in Zoom or in person in Los Angeles. She's got a beautiful studio in Santa Monica. Next up, we've got a class with Audi Gozlan, Kabbalah Yoga on Zoom, either Monday or Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. A private session with Cantor Levine, embodied prayer, yoga for healing. A 3-month subscription to Kosher Institute, that's Kosher Relationship Institute, we mentioned before. That's a 3-month online subscription. A 50% off spot at Camp Neshama, that's a 20s and 30s singles retreat. That's over in Los Angeles, or actually just out in the hills, just in the mountains, in the Los Angeles forest at a retreat center there. And then a class with Diane Bloomfield, Zoom Torah yoga class. Also, Maxine Levy is offering Jewish mindfulness and meditation. That is a lot of classes, and we've got some lovely people writing some lovely things in there. A lot of classes. Okay, so a lot of giveaways. Here's what you do. Oh, also, we're going to be throwing in a couple of free listings as well for the Jewish Yoga Network website. So here's what you need to do. We are going to put a URL in. All you need to do is go to this URL, and then you choose which competition you want to go in for. So it's jewishyoganetwork.org competition. So it's jewishyoganetwork.org competition. I guess we'll say you can go in for as many times as you want. It's going to be open. It'll be open for the next hour. So actually half an hour after we run, half an hour after we wrap, it'll be open for another half hour. Okay. Is it in the chat room URL? So it's Jewish Yoga. Oops, I'm sorry, I put it in a private message there. Okay, hang on. It's been long. It's been a long day. All right, jewishyoganetwork.org/competition. So if you go to jewishyoganetwork.org/competition. If anyone's got any questions, now's a good opportunity. You could put it in the chat box, or you can just let us know what you thought. Let's ask this question instead. I'll ask you a question. What's one thing you're taking with you from today? So it's one thing that you're taking with you, something which has inspired you, something which you've enjoyed or you've liked. What's one thing that you're going to be taking with you? Emunah, Jewish Yoga Community. Okay. Cellular connection, love, community. Someone needs to let go. Okay, the Torah references, and there's a lot more stuff. And on the website, we're going to have we've got some great videos and music opportunities, different things you can practice there. There are a lot of books to read, Joe Southern, and yes, Sherry, that everyone has got a different approach in terms of integrating. There's a great range. And I'm going to be offering a couple of other things as well. I'll email you that. I'm going to be offering an opportunity for a one-on-one coaching or consulting session to back you up or help you boost your business in terms of the way you're teaching, you're promoting your Jewish yoga meditation practice, or whether working with your business to help you frame and help you support your teaching business. Coaching, consulting, that's what I've been doing for 20 years in addition to this. So I'm going to be offering 3 free one-on-one sessions, but I'll email you that afterwards. Okay, so Jewish Yoga Community outside of Jewish Yoga Mindfulness of Musa Yoga, absolutely. So keep on going for the contest. I'll put in the other link afterwards. Connectedness, there's much to learn about incorporating Torah to yoga, terrific. Okay, for the other contest, for the free coaching session, jewishyoganetwork.org /coaching. So you've got /competition for the previous prizes and /coaching for the coaching session. Okay. Thank you all for coming along. I'm going to just give us one last short meditation to take it home, and then we're going to wrap. So just sit down for a moment. Just make sure your buttocks are on the chair. Make sure your back isn't slouched, but straighten your back out. Draw your shoulder blades down, either hands on your thighs or hands on your heart. Take a deep breath in. Inhale and slowly exhale. So we're balancing the neshima, the breath, neshama connection, neshima, neshama, same words. Inhale down to your belly. The ruach area, the second part of our soul, is the ruach. Inhale and exhale. The second version of the soul, Kabbalistically, also a word for breath. And now third, inhale, focus on your exhale. Third part of our soul, the third soul variation, nefesh. It rearranges to spell nashaf, which means exhale. Inhale and exhale. Our fourth soul aspect, according to Kabbalah, is chaya, life, as in chai. It's the part which connects all of us physically. Inhale and feel a sense of connection with everyone here. Exhale. And then finally, yechida, the oneness, where everything is one, the ultimate yoga, the ultimate oneness. Inhale and feel this sense of connection, your awareness with everything. Good. And I invite you to join me in 3 chants of shalom. Let's be as one. Am echad b'lev echad, v'kol echad, one people, one heart, one voice. Inhale. Shalom. 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 Palms together, thumbs to the hairline, chokhmah and bina, thumbs to the forehead for da'at, which is knowing, thumbs to the mouth for malchut, kingship, nobility, leadership, thumbs to the throat for chesed and gevurah, love and discipline, hands on your heart for tiferet, the way of Jacob, Israel, compassion, truth, beauty, balance. And open your eyes. So thank you so much for coming along. Thank you again to the Schusterman Foundation, Charles and Lynn Schusterman Foundation, for supporting this, making this possible. Thanks to Moshe for the tech and Shana for helping all the participants. And more to follow. Okay, the competition link, I'm going to put the competition link in one more time. It's / or put both of them in. I'll put both of them in. Okay, so JewishYogaNetwork.org, competition and .coaching. Okay, so the official proceedings end now. We'll email everyone as well. Thank you for coming along, and please post into the Jewish Yoga Network group. We'd love to hear your teachings too. Shalom, have a wonderful week.